Alrighty, I think we're probably good to get started. Hi everyone, I'm Annalisa from the Parlay team, and I'll send it over to Bobby to kick us off with our webinar today to show you what's new.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining. Really excited to show you everything that we've been working on over the past 6 months. My name is Bobby. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the founder and CEO of Parlay. Really excited to show you the new version of Parlay. So not going to mince words here, and nor am I going to spend a lot of time on a slide deck. I really just want to get into the application and show everyone what's new. Just as a little background though, we about 7-8 months ago, we were starting to add a whole bunch of new features to Parlay, and we'd been adding them for about a year, and then we kind of took a step back and realized that the application had kind of grown out of its shoes, and we needed to rethink a lot of the user interface. We needed to rethink a lot of the user experience, and we wanted to make it more straightforward, more seamless for current users. And then obviously with new teachers coming on all the time, we really wanted to make sure that the application was intuitive and was in a place where we could really scale it up and add lots of great new features that we wanted to build in the future. So we stopped building new features, so to speak, and we started working on this total application refresh. I will say that all of the existing features, or almost all the existing features that were there previously, are still here today, with a few new ones along the way. But what we're showing you today is really the new look and feel of Parlay that will set the stage for all the features and great new things that we're going to build to come. So with that said, I want to answer the question, what did we change? First thing is, as I alluded to, the whole layout and navigation of Parlay for both teachers and students has been completely updated. If anyone here has logged into Parlay in the last 3 days or 4 days, you probably obviously realize that is indeed true. We've changed the names of the roundtables. Finally, this is a long time coming. The online roundtable has been changed to the written roundtable, and the live roundtable has been changed to the verbal roundtable. And the reason is because, well, written and verbal tell you what these roundtables are all about a lot more than online and live, since both of them can be done both online, synchronously, asynchronously, or live, synchronously. So we've changed the names, but still all the same core functionality, as I said. The whole look and feel of the Parlay Universe has changed as well. We've introduced some new features there, including new default collections and improved topic searchability. We've added new default assessment criteria for both written and verbal roundtables, and we'll show you what those default assessment criteria are, and we'll talk a little bit more about sort of the logic behind that and some of the assessment protocols that we've been thinking about recently. We've also improved the student reports to make it easier to track engagement for an individual student at a point in time and over time as well. And then we've introduced new course settings, including student lists, banner images, and a few other things. And then there's so much more that's sort of all peppered in within the new application. So with that said, I'm going to go in, I'm going to show you all these things and more, and really just help orient everyone into the new and improved Parlay. And then of course, we'll leave time at the end for questions. And I know Annalisa wanted to run at least one verbal roundtable to give everyone a sense of how that works from the student view, and then also as an opportunity for us to have a dialogue and gather feedback. So without further ado, I'm going to go into Parlay and let's get started. And Annalisa, as always, if you want to jump in on anything, please feel free to do so. I know you have lots to say about the new version too. Okay, so the first thing is the sign-up page has changed. It still has all the same stuff: Google single sign-on, Microsoft single sign-on. You can also sign up with an email address, but just looks a little different. Okay, as a teacher, you sign into Parlay. Oh, that's the universe, my bad. Let me go to my Parlay dashboard. I'll give away that secret. So when you sign into Parlay for the first time, from now on, we've basically created the dashboard, which is a page called Recent Roundtables. And you guessed it, this is a list of all the most recent roundtables that you've been working on as a teacher. Those could be roundtables where students are actively participating, roundtables where you're still working on creating prompt, or roundtables where you are in the process of giving students feedback in the discussion. So basically anything that you've been working on inside of Parlay will be the thing that you first see. Each one of these squares or tiles represents a roundtable, obviously, and you can hover over to see the green here is the verbal roundtables, and the blue are written roundtables. In addition, we've updated the navigation. It used to be on the top, now it's on the left-hand side. You can click this to expand the navigation. So you have my recent roundtables, you have my courses, which I'll show you in a minute. You have the Parlay Universe, which we'll show you in a minute. You have your notifications, which if you click this, they open here on the side as well. So that makes that really nice and easy. And then your profiles down here. So if you click on it, you can see your portfolio in the universe. You can see your own personal profile, change your information. There's a Google Drive for those instructor resources, the support center, and then of course you can sign out. But I'm going to go back to the recent roundtables page and show you how to create a new roundtable. Pretty obviously, creating a new roundtable is going to this new roundtable. And as soon as you hover over, it asks you if you want to start from scratch or if you want to browse the universe. So let's start by browsing the universe. So if I click Browse Universe, it opens up the universe in a new tab, and you're going to see the new and improved Parlay Universe. We are making changes to this all the time, creating new collections and continuing to update the universe. So you'll see some improvements over time, but it's the same core concept. You have the core, major collections here on the home page, and you can search, you can browse by subject, etc. So first of all, on the home page, we have featured roundtables. We have recommended roundtables. So this is a new collection. This is based on the subject areas that you teach, as well as the grade levels that you teach. Parlay will make recommended discussion topic recommendations to you, and you can browse that collection as you see fit. So in this case, there's just a few of them for my user here. And so on top of that collection, there's also the most popular roundtables. So these are the ones that have been replicated the most in the universe, and then the newest roundtables as well. And these are all ones that have been Parlay certified, which is that little blue check there. In terms of advanced searching, if you search topics now, so let's say we search sustainable or sustainability, you have to spell it right to start. And if I search sustainability, it's going to give me a list of roundtables. And you'll see it says 73 more collections, authors. And if I press the search button here or press enter, it will bring me to a list of all of the roundtables that have sustainable in the title or in the body of the text. And then you could filter. So we can filter by different subject areas. We can filter by written versus verbal, by grade levels. So for example, if we did grades 11 and 12 and grades 9 and 10 only, that would reduce it from 76 to 41. And then tags and then skills as well, something we're going to be introducing. And then let's say we only wanted to see ones that were Parlay certified, and now it's reduced it down to 30. And we can also see that these 30 roundtables exist in 25 different collections. And we could see those collections, and we can see the relevant roundtables. So for example, if we do top debates and high interest topics, when we click 2 relevant roundtables, it will show us to, in this case, sustainable development goals, where those exist, where that exists. And then of course, all of the authors who have written roundtables with this search result. If I click relevant roundtables, I can see exploring the UN sustainable development goals. That's actually one that I wrote a long time ago. So that's a little bit about the improved searchability on the universe. And if I go back to the universe homepage, the last thing I think that's probably relevant to show here is I can click show subjects. And this is going to give me a list of collections that I have bookmarked, as well as a list of all the subject areas. And if we click on them, history, for example, we can see a list of all of the history collections. So 20th century history, and there it is. There's the collection for 20th century history. And again, I can bookmark this collection. And then now if I go to the subjects in the future, it will appear there. Hold on, refresh, I think. Anyway, it'll appear that it'll appear there, 20th century history, as one of my bookmark collections. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for the universe, and I guess I'll just open up and show you one of the topics so you can see how it's changed a little bit. We've made better use of the actual page here so you get more information on the page. You have all the information related to this roundtable here, all the collections, all the tags, etc. And then, of course, you can press use this topic, just like always. And that's going to take you into Parlay and select which course you wanted to use. So I'm going to use my social studies course, and I'm going to create that topic inside of my social studies course. So pretty standard flow in Parlay, going from the universe to my Parlay classroom. All right, now we're inside. Was there a question?
Bobby, could I just pause you for a moment?
For sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a question in the chat about what does Parlay certified mean? Do you want to just walk through our process quickly on what the certified topics entail and what we look for when we certify those?
Yeah, absolutely. So teachers can create topics and add them to their portfolio in the universe. So that's the first thing to know. If you created your own topic, in this case, we just added this from the universe. But if you created your own topic, you could go here and say, add to my portfolio. And that's going to give you the ability to create your own discussion topic inside of the Parlay universe. And so it's going to take all your topic information. It's going to take the title. You can set your own peer feedback questions, and you can put all this relevant, metadata and information. And then you could save that to your personal portfolio. And so you could start building a portfolio of topics that you can share with others in your school or your broader community. What the Parlay team does is we regularly go through topics that teachers are creating and adding to their portfolio, and with their permission, if they're unlisted or if they're in draft mode, we would ask that teacher if we could make it public, and we would certify it. And certifying it means that someone from our team has gone through the topic and made sure that the links are all accessible, make sure that the language is appropriate, make sure that it sort of meets the guidelines for our framework for discussion questions. So we can get into what that is. And then if the topic also has sensitive or difficult information for students to talk about, because we do a lot of current events obviously here at Parlay, then we'll add a little note for that as well, and some strategies and resources there. So it's really just having someone on the Parlay side go through all the topics that are being added and sort of add a certification step and certify, saying that, yeah, we think this is great for the broader community. That doesn't mean that topics that aren't certified can't be searchable. It doesn't mean that they're not good, obviously. It doesn't mean that they can't be used by others. It just means that when it comes to us creating and managing collections in the universe, those are almost always only going to be certified topics. So it's really about us finding the balance between user-generated content, so that bottom-up, high-volume process, and creating like a little layer of review. Anyway, I think I belabored that point, but I hope that answers your question. Alrighty, so let's go back to Parlay, to the app, and we'll look at the new written roundtable. Okay, so this is the new written roundtable. It's called Letter from Birmingham Jail, Analytical Reading. It's inside of my social studies course. And then we can see here that there's new tabs. There's the prompt tab, which is obviously the discussion prompt itself that we've created. Then there's the settings tab, which is something that only the teacher will see. And the settings tab has required submission, anonymity. You can set a close date. You can set assessment criteria. And these are the new default assessment criteria: challenges ideas, connects ideas, brings new insight, asks thoughtful question, uses evidence. Of course, you can also create your own assessment criteria and assess any way you want. And then we have the peer feedback questions. So we're going to select a few peer feedback questions for this discussion as well, and we're going to save those settings. Then we have the discussion tab. This is where the student responses and their commentary will all exist. And then we have the summary tab as well, which we'll get into in an example. So this is in effect what the new written roundtable layout looks like for teachers. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to invite students. I'm going to copy a link here. With the invite students, we still have the same stuff. So you have the code, you have the link, you have the list of students who are in the class, and you can invite them all manually. And we also have LMS integrations. These are not set up currently here, but with Google Classroom, Microsoft Schoology, Canvas, and Brightspace, and you can set those up in your course settings. for those of you who use those learning management systems. So I'm just going to copy the link here, and then I'm going to go over to a student view, and I'm going to join that written roundtable so you can see what it looks like now from the student view. So I joined that written roundtable, and you'll see it's very similar to what we saw before. There's the learning goals. There's the content and multimedia, the prompt here on the left-hand side. And then we would write our response here as a student. Again, all the same stuff. We can add images, links, videos, etc. We can see our secret identity, and we can learn more about that person if the secret identities are on. And then we would write our response here, and we could view the assessment criteria here as well. So you can see those are there. We can save our response if we haven't submitted it yet. And then, of course, we can submit our response. One thing you'll notice is the students can't actually go to the discussion tab or to the summary tab because they haven't submitted their response yet. So just sort of managing that. And then as a student, we would press submit. We would join the discussion. And now we'd be inside of the discussion. So this is the student view. And now they can go back towards the prompt. They can actually edit their submission if they want. They can view the discussion, and then they can also view the class summary whenever they want. So just everything in a much simpler sort of navigation up here at the top. And then, of course, the same is true for the teachers. Just going to refresh that. The same is true for the teachers with the student responses. Okay, and there's a few other things here. The sidebar now exists, and you can show and hide the student view. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a written roundtable that has more data built out. So I'm going to go back to my courses tab here, and you'll see a list of your courses as a teacher. I'm going to go to my demo course, which has some example roundtables. Just before we get back to the written roundtable, though, you can now change the image in your course. So you have lots of different images to choose from, and it's just a nice banner to make the course. You can change the image to make the course a little bit more fun and distinguished for students. So I'm going to go here into the sample roundtable, and you can see what one looks like when it's built out. This is just a demo, so I can't actually submit anything here. But here is the discussion, which will automatically open up, and then I can see all the student responses. I can also see the student responses on the right-hand side. I can see Leonardo da Vinci. I can see that 2 comments were made on his submission, and the check mark is that I have assessed Leonardo da Vinci here. And then, of course, the stars for me having made a model submission. So if I open up Michelangelo here, I can see Michelangelo's submission, and they have the image, his text, etc. And then the standard guided feedback questions. We have improved the guided feedback questions to the point where they're now actually clickable. So as a student or a teacher, you can actually click these guided feedback questions, or if you're using sentence stems, and students can now edit them as they see fit. So it just makes that a little bit easier. And then there's also emojis as well, which we've added to comments and replies. Other than that, it's all still the same functionality in the written roundtable. And then the assessment tab is the same. So we have our assessment criteria, we have our private feedback, we have the number of comments the student made, and we have the comments that they made and who they responded to. All the same stuff that existed in the written roundtable before. And then, of course, I can show identities or hide identities. So all that stuff's there. And then all the other settings here, duplicating, closing the roundtable, sending an email reminder, all that stuff still exists. Last but not least, in the new summary, it's all the same data. It's just viewed a little bit differently. So we have the response data here, how many submitted, gave a comment, received a comment, the average comment length. The comment cord is still here, as is the word cloud. And with the word cloud, we can still click in, and we can see everyone who used the word Canada in their submission. We can click, and we can see that in the context of the conversation, and we can actually go to the full conversation as well. So again, all the same information, all the same sort of functionality, but just in a slightly different view. Okay. Here as well, we have an updated course chat. And this is basically the same thing. Course chat, the teacher can manage it. They can turn it on or off. So students are allowed to submit versus students are not allowed to submit. But that's just up there in the top right now. Okay, I'm going to go now and move into the verbal roundtable. Before I do, though, does anyone have questions about the written roundtable? Or are there any in the chat? Okay, let's go. So I'm actually going to go back to, I'm going to create a new roundtable. Actually, I'll create, so you can see what it looks like starting from scratch. So I'm going to create a new roundtable. So I'm going to start from scratch, but I'm going to create a verbal roundtable. And I'm going to put it inside of my social studies course. I'm going to create that roundtable, and then it's going to, of course, every time you try to do a demo, I'm going to refresh. There we go. So I created a new verbal roundtable. I can put the title there. I put instructions. Parlay has some default instructions. I can put my content and multimedia, so you can put links, etc., and then my discussion questions. And then I would press plus to add that discussion question. I can change the settings as well right here before I create the roundtable, or you can always, create the or change the settings after. So I press finish, and now that's created the verbal roundtable for me. I can go back to the prompt and change the prompt if I want. I can go back and change the settings, but the default view is the discussion view. And again, the same thing, I can invite students to participate. One thing I will say about the new settings is that we've introduced a live embedded video into the verbal roundtable. So now, if you're having a remote conversation with your students for whatever reason, you can have live video. So it's almost like Zoom or Google Meets or whatever it is, but it's built natively right into Parlay, and you can have video conversations inside of the live roundtable. We used to have just audio, so it's kind of like Clubhouse, but now we have video, which also obviously includes live video as well. So you can have a live roundtable discussion remotely where all the students can see each other and they can see you as teachers. So that's something we're really excited about going forward. And then I'm going to go into, again, back to my recent roundtables and go to a sample verbal roundtable that's already ongoing. And so with this one, this is a discussion that's ongoing. So there's a few things to note here. First of all, you can now create a full screen view for the verbal roundtable, which just takes away a lot of the stuff around the edges. Certainly for students with smaller screens, you can really focus in on the discussion. And you have a student here as the speaker, and then you have the queue. And you can add or remove students from the queue by pressing add to queue. Obviously, this is just a demo course, so I can't actually move them in and out, but you can move students in and out of the queue, and you can click on students on the left-hand side. You can take your private notes. You can make your assessments, all the same things that you could do in the live roundtable. In addition, if a student created a new idea and they typed some text about what that new idea was, you could see that here as well. And you can still tap students in and out. You can set them as moderator. You can nudge them. You can add them to the queue. All the same core functionality there. You have polls. You have questions. So all the same stuff is here. It just looks a little bit different. And then we can see the summary data as well. There's not a ton of great summary data on this one, but we'll show you one after we've done our live roundtable in the demo portion. Okay, I think that's probably a wrap. I guess the last thing here is just the profile page. If you click on that, we have our basic info where we can set our universe portfolio URL, and we have other information about us, what topics we teach, what grade levels we teach. We can change our password. We can set up our integrations for our account and for our classrooms, and then, of course, membership information. All right, with that, I'll leave it there. I don't know, Annalisa, if you wanted to take over and add anything, or maybe we can go straight into an example roundtable.
Do you want to briefly show student reports? Because I think that's another key component with the assessment.
Yes, absolutely. So inside of social studies, we have up here student reports. So if we go into student reports, I think I'm going to find a student who has some really good data that we can use. Vihan, I believe, right? Or is that in a different course?
Yeah, that might have been on our staging account, actually. So
yeah. see if we can find a good example.
Yeah.
I wonder if we can do the demo course. If there's no reports there. Okay, we'll have to, let me work on it while you're doing the demo, and we'll do the student reports at the end.
Okay, sounds good. So at this point, would love to just share or hear rather your initial thoughts and feedback on this new version. So I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to set up a verbal roundtable, which I think I already have done. So just before we do the verbal roundtable, I know Bobby kind of mentioned it, but just to clarify, there are kind of two use cases or two ways that you could use the verbal roundtable. Of course, if you're in class, it's usually best to set up your class in a circle or some way that you could see everyone or all the students can see each other as they're talking to each other. But of course, they have their devices in front of them. But if you're online, now we have that video functionality as well. So you could actually just have everyone turn on their videos. We're all distributed, we're learning from home, whatever it is, we'll still be able to have that conversation and have audio, video as well. So today we will, because we have Google Meets open, we will actually, to add a little bit more confusion, we'll keep the video and audio off in Parlay, and we'll still use Google Meets for our discussion today. So I've created one here. So I'm inside of my PD course, and I'm going to go into this verbal roundtable. And I've set up kind of three main questions. So just would like to hear, what are your initial thoughts on the new version? Do you have a favorite feature or one that's still here or something that's new? Or do you have any feedback or suggestions? So at this point, I'll just come up here and copy the link, and I will put it in the chat for everyone. So there we go. So if you click the link that I just put in the chat, then you'll be able to log in and you'll be able to see all of this from the student view, and we could have our discussion today. I could see Nicole is logged in, Sharon, Leanne. I will keep the teacher view open, of course, on my screen as well, so you could see what that looks like. So again, you could take a moment to jot down any thoughts that might be coming up on your notepad. And then once we're ready, I'll just go ahead and click start. When I click start, all of you will now see those 4 buttons at the bottom of your screen to tap in. So clicking on the discussion tab on your screen, you should be able to see those 4 options. You could tap in with a new idea, a question, a build on, or challenge. Probably most of our ideas today will be new ideas. So whoever's ready, feel free to tap in, and then we'll just ask you to unmute yourself on Google Meets when you're ready to share, when you're in the speaker position. All right, any takers? We might have some crickets. Okay, Bobby's tapped in. So everyone can now see Bobby has a new idea. And if everyone hovered over his icon, you could actually go and vote for him if you really want to encourage Bobby to speak up. If you want to see, we got lots of people that want to hear from Bobby. So as a teacher, I would go ahead and make him the speaker. Or I would set the moderator to do that. In this case, I'll just keep myself as the teacher, and Bobby would go ahead and speak up.
All right. My favorite new feature is the full screen view on the verbal roundtable. I think that screen real estate is really important, and I think it'd be really, really easy for students to focus in on exactly what they're supposed to be working on and maximize the amount of space that they get to use on their screen for the live roundtable. So with that, I will tap out and leave it to the next person.
Okay, it's my turn. I asked in the chat, and you said, Annalisa, that the other students can see what the other students say, and that does include what they type in too. So it's right. So it's different from my student notes, which I'm really happy I can see them there. I don't know if that was always a thing. As a student, I can see the guiding questions on the side of my screen and the student notes. So that's really awesome. So then other students can also see if I were to actually type my question in there, right? Am I making sense? Sorry, I'm all over.
Yeah. Yes, that's right. So basically your notes will be private to the student and the teacher. However, if you are going to be writing in the little text box, for example, right now you're tapped in and you could see the little text box below where it says, you're tapped in with a question. You could kind of say, oh, my question is about the notepad. You could type that in there and everyone can click the little arrow on your icon to see a little bit more about what that question is, or maybe who you're asking the question to, or who you're challenging or building on in the discussion.
Okay,
does that make sense?
That does make sense. So if I had a question about what Bobby said, that's how I would signify it. There's not like in the discussion, there's not like a specific way for me to be like hopping, like piggybacking on Bobby. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right, cool.
That's right. That's the best way to do it, is to write it in the little chat. So if you actually look at Bobby's right now and you click the little challenge button, then it'll say, Bobby says, I would like to challenge the main idea. So maybe he would like to challenge what you've said.
Right. Cool. All right. Thank you.
Okay, I don't actually have a challenge. I just wanted to demonstrate that. But I do also want to say, Nicole, that if often what teachers will do is they'll tap in one student will tap in, that they'll make that student the speaker. Let's say it's a new idea, and then as that student is articulating their new idea, other students will have build-ons, challenges, questions, and then you can quickly put them into the queue, and it'll automatically flow through all of them. And then once all of that's exhausted, then maybe you can move on to the next new idea. If that would be like a perfect world scenario. Obviously, it's definitely messier than that in reality, but that's definitely something you can do. Anyway, I'll tap out and then we can keep going.
All right, Sharon's up next in the speaker position. Sharon, we'll just get you to unmute your mic in the Google Meets. All right, maybe we'll just need another moment there for Sharon. In the meantime, Nikki has a question. Nikki, did you have a question? You'll just need to unmute yourself inside of Parlay. Or sorry, inside of Google Meets. Okay, we'll move on to Dora.
Yeah, allez, bonjour. Well, so you see, I teach French. When I discovered Parlay, I was really excited and I use it. But then, because it has this limited free time, as a language teacher, I had to do a lot of background work, though I was using my high students. So my question here is, I had a guest speaker. I was a guest speaker because she was a student teacher, but we had problems, for her to be connected with the Parlay. She had to create an account. She had to, So my question is this still the same way? I mean, if I have someone who is not in my district and who wants to join, is it the same process I will have to go through?
Good question. So if you would like others to join that are not within your district, they could still join, but they will need to still log in with an email. So maybe it's a Google or a Microsoft account, or they can register just with another type of email. So it is possible. It's definitely possible. They would just need to register before joining. You cannot you need to have an account before you actually join and participate in a discussion.
Okay, thank you. Let me close up before somebody takes. We are already in July, Hannah, and at my district, we have already submitted quotes for the resources we need. So my question will be, maybe I'll just send you an email.
Yeah, sure. Definitely get in touch with us and we will discuss.
Yeah. Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Sharon's up next. So again, Sharon, you'll just have to unmute yourself in Google Meet so we could hear you. Oh, okay. She's having trouble sharing her microphone. Okay, no problem. If you want to just maybe type your idea on your notepad or even in the chat in Google Meet, we can get your idea there. Anybody else in the meantime with questions or thoughts? I'm just going to queue up a poll here so you can see what it looks like. All right, Dora with a question.
Well, I joined at around 10:06. I don't know. Have you shown us the progress tracker that you said you added?
No, we have not shown just yet,
Okay.
but I will show you just after this, I think.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if there's no other questions, I'll just stop it right here so we could look at, you could have a chance to look at some of the data. So now that the discussion is stopped, you can click the summary tab at the top, and this is where we could see participation rate, the types of contributions across the class, new ideas, build-ons, challenges, and questions, and time spent. If you remember in the previous version of Parlay, there were reflection questions. So those are still there. They're just in the little question mark beside each of the data visualizations that are there. So if you click the little question mark beside it, you'll have some reflection questions that you could use to reflect on some of this data with your group at the end of a class. So, you know, what does this graph tell us about the discussion? Or if we were to set a goal for next time, how would we, you know, what goals might we set if we want to improve as a group? And then last but not least, regarding the progress charts, if everyone can click the top right-hand corner, there's a little bar graph, like a horizontal bar graph that's there. So if you click that, this is where you'll be able to see your own reports as a student. So you could see how you might be progressing on particular skills that the teacher has set and is giving you feedback on over time. So the default that's there is all of the skills. And of course, we only did the one roundtable. So if you look at your student report, then you'll probably only get the data from this one roundtable in this course today. But if you scroll down, you could see how many times you tapped in with a new idea, challenge, or question. And over time, you'd be able to see how that's trending. So are you participating more in class, or is a particular student, from the teacher perspective, I could look at all my students and see how is that trending? Are they participating more? Are they becoming quieter? Maybe they're participating more in the written discussions over time. We could see all of that here. And then in addition to that, you could actually drill down and see one specific skill. So if I really wanted, for example, Dora, if I really wanted her to work on using evidence to support her ideas, I can toggle on to that, and I could see across time how she might be demonstrating that in her roundtables. All right. Anything else, Bobby? Did I miss anything else as I was going over that, or does anybody else have any other questions?
No, I think I was just going to show a more built-out report as well.
Yeah, sure thing.
But before I do, Dora, it looks like you have a question, so why don't you go ahead?
Thank you. One hand I just showed us there. I would like to know, can teacher building their own skills? Because you see, she said we can, because I teach language, so I want to see, are you pronouncing this word or, stuff like that? Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. You can create your own skills. I'll show you how to do that. Just give me one sec. I will first show the report, and then we'll go back and show how to create your own skills. So this is what a sort of more built out report will look like. So English 12C is the course, the student is Vihan, and you can see skills over time. So each one of these bars, graphs represents a roundtable. And so if I hover over, this is a roundtable called Environmental Issues in the Economy. We can see the score that I gave that student for each of those skills, their total, and then how that compares to the class average. And then we can see that across different roundtables over time as well. In addition, if you scroll down, you can see roundtable engagement for the student over time. So these are the written roundtables. Did they respond? Yes, but they didn't make any comments or replies. Here, they responded and made one comment, one reply. And you could see their total number of contributions compared to the class average total number of contributions in those roundtables as well. And then here you have the verbal roundtable engagement over time as well. So you have all that data there for individual students. So again, you can track skills over time. So for example, just challenging ideas, we can see specifically what the scores were in different roundtables over time for those skills. And then you can go into all of the discussions when you have a list of basically the student's portfolio across all discussions for the year. And then you can see their contributions as well as their assessment for each roundtable. And just to reiterate, if I go into English here, and let's say this is a roundtable where we're in draft mode. So I would come over here, go to the settings. So I have the assessment criteria here, of course, but you can create your own. So let's say proper pronunciation, and then uses good pronunciation, etc. Or did I spell it wrong? Yes, of course. And then you could press plus. And then now that becomes a criteria, and I could edit it too if I wanted to. So you can create your own criteria. That's how, and this is in the settings for both the written roundtable and the verbal roundtable. All right, I'll leave it at that. Does anyone else have questions?
Nicole did have a question. She was wondering if it was possible to see the student reports before from the student perspective. Bobby, do you recall?
I don't know if the students could not see their reports before. Yeah, no,
right, because they just had the assessment. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's great for setting goals. Like students can really like look at it and then set goals in like each quarter, So I'm thrilled.
Awesome.
Definitely.
That's super exciting. Definitely.
And I've heard as well, helpful for parent teacher interviews or something like that, where you can pull it up and you can show all of the contributions and all the different types of contributions. It's really good data and accountability, like Dora said. Nice. All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. Thanks everyone for joining. Again, if you have any questions, you want us to help you set up a discussion with your class or any of your fellow colleagues, we're always here to help. And we appreciate your enthusiasm to see what's new.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.
All right.
As always.
Thank
See you soon.